Welcome back to Bookish Dives. If you've joined us before, you'll know this is where we really get into books that make you think.
Yeah, we've had some great discussions already, unpacking some valuable reads.
And we're definitely keeping that going today.
Today, we're diving into Brianna Wiest's When You're Ready, This Is How You Heal. It's a really practical guide, I think, for personal growth, transformation, just navigating everyday life.
Exactly. And our mission for this deep dive, really, is to pull out those key actionable insights, those thought-provoking ideas from Wiest, hopefully to help you on your own journey of healing and, well, self-discovery.
Sounds good.
Okay, so the book often kicks off talking about that familiar dull feeling in your gut, that sense something's off, but you can't quite name it.
Right. And Weiss's take on that is really interesting. She suggests it's maybe not a warning about what's coming, but more like unprocessed emotions from the past that are, bubbling up, asking to be dealt with.
Like undigested food, or maybe old clothes you haven't sorted, that kind of analogy.
Exactly. A sort of mental backlog creating that discomfort.
That makes sense. And she talks about feelings like anger, sadness, anxiety. She calls them a veil or a trigger.
Yeah, instead of just being negative, they can actually be a wake-up call, which leads to this pretty compelling idea.
Which is
the need to kind of cry for past versions of yourself, to acknowledge their pain so you can start rewriting your internal story.
So it's about compassion for your past self, not just pushing those difficult feelings down.
Precisely. Acknowledging them with understanding that actually takes away some of their power in the present.
Okay. Then the book moves into this idea that, well, life isn't supposed to be perfectly smooth.
Right. It's not seamless. And she really emphasizes the courage it takes to keep trying, keep opening doors, even when you face setbacks.
And how do we do that? How do we keep going?
Well, she suggests that after tough times, consciously choosing hopeful, joyful thoughts can help rebalance things internally.
So not pretending that bad stuff didn't happen.
No, not at all. But actively cultivating a more positive outlook for moving forward.
This next bit really jumped out at me. She talks quite powerfully, really, about letting go of people who aren't ready to love you.
Oh, yeah. That's a big one. It sounds maybe a bit blunt.
It does.
But she frames it as absolutely essential, an act of self-preservation. You have to protect your energy.
And she says, you are not for everyone, and everyone is not for you.
Exactly. Trying to force those connections, it's just draining if they can't meet you halfway. Recognizing that is key for your well-being.
She even talks about building a safe haven for yourself, setting boundaries.
Clear boundaries, especially with people who, well, lack the capacity for real care and connection, and this part is crucial.
What's that?
She stresses, you are not responsible for saving people.
Right. That's huge. Putting your energy where there's mutual respect that fosters growth.
Totally. Trying to fix everyone else just leads to burnout, usually at your own expense.
Yeah. Okay, so then Wiest shifts focus a bit to what she calls these keys to our future in healing. I found this really insightful.
Yeah.
Paying attention to what comes effortlessly, what genuinely interests us, and also what we consistently struggle with.
Right. And it's fascinating how these different things offer guidance, isn't it? What's easy might point to natural talents. Interests could guide you toward your purpose. And the struggles, well, they often show you exactly where you need to heal and grow.
And when those negative thoughts pop up, which they always do,
Always.
she advises really interrogating them. Don't just accept them.
Yeah.
Question if they're true, how they're affecting where you want to go.
Yeah, it's about taking charge of those thought patterns, asking is this really true? Where's the evidence? It helps dismantle limiting beliefs.
She also really emphasizes self-compassion, especially when things feel overwhelming.
Oh, definitely. It's okay to rest. It's okay to just focus on the most important thing on the list when it feels like too much.
Absolutely. Healing needs patience, kindness towards yourself, recognizing limits, prioritizing self-care. It's vital to avoid burnout.
Yeah, for sustainable growth.
And I liked her practical suggestions for shifting perspective, too, like reflecting on past accomplishments.
Acknowledging your progress.
And consciously practicing gratitude for what you already have.
Those practices really help push back against that natural negativity bias we all seem to have. Appreciating the good stuff builds resilience.
Then the book explores this really freeing idea. Our identities aren't fixed.
We're constantly evolving.
And the truth is, people probably aren't thinking about us nearly as much as we think they are.
Yeah, that can be such a relief to grasp. We get so caught up, but everyone's mostly focused on their own stuff. It frees you up.
And how others see us, she points out, is often filtered through their own lens, right? Their own hopes, fears.
Totally. It's often a projection, which means ultimately the story we tell ourselves about ourselves is the one that really matters. Our internal narrative is key.
Now, this was an interesting distinction she made. Healing isn't always about huge external changes.
Right. Sometimes it's more about adjusting how we engage with our current situation.
Not just chasing a new job or moving house thinking that'll fix everything.
Exactly. Those things can help sometimes, of course. But often the real healing comes from internal shifts perspective, responses to what's already happening.
And she outlines these 8 phases of deep personal transformation to help understand that inner journey. Starts with a catalyst.
Then denial, emotional release, processing old memories.
That moment of clarity, taking the leap, seeing purpose in the pain, and then sort of entering a new life.
It's a useful map, I think. It shows the journey isn't linear, and it validates those tough stages as part of a bigger transformation.
She also points out these 7 psychological biases that are making you resist your own growth. Things like finding comfort in discomfort.
Yeah, that one's sneaky.
Yeah.
Or negativity bias, sunk cost fallacy, even a fear of being happy.
Recognizing those biases helps us see how we might be unconsciously holding ourselves back. Right?
Definitely. Spotting that comfort and discomfort can explain why we stick with unsatisfying situations.
And she really drives home that letting go isn't like a one-and-done event.
No, it's an ongoing practice. Continuously releasing thoughts, moments, attachments that don't serve you anymore.
Creating mental space.
Exactly.
Okay, moving towards confidence. She argues it doesn't come from outside approval or comparing yourself.
No, it comes from starting, from showing up, as she puts it, and allowing your authentic self to create.
That feels empowering. We wait for permission or the perfect time.
But confidence is built through the action, taking those first steps, building momentum.
And she makes a great point about why we create. Sharing energy, connecting human to human. That's more valuable than chasing some impossible perfection or impressing crowds.
Yeah, it shifts the focus away from external validation towards intrinsic connection and genuine self-expression. Sharing our truth resonates.
She also talks about needing to ditch rigid expectations, embrace ambition for our own vision.
Stop waiting for someone else to say it's okay.
Just show up consistently.
It requires embracing uncertainty, taking ownership, even when the path isn't perfectly clear.
Then she describes that feeling. Being right on the edge of a breakthrough, but also kind of scared to take the leap.
Oh yeah, that precipice moment, where you sense change is close, but there's hesitation.
She encourages us to reach back to the life that's actually reaching for us.
Trust that momentum. Embrace what's unfolding.
And there's a really insightful section on 16 ways emotionally intelligent people interpret negative feelings differently.
What stands out there?
Well, the core idea that feelings are messengers, allowing emotional expression instead of suppressing it.
Yeah, seeing them as information, not just problems, and allowing ourselves to actually feel them.
And creating your own self-image, finding purpose beyond just your job title, feeling safe, letting go of the past. Lots of good stuff in there.
It offers healthier ways to navigate those difficult emotions.
Ultimately, though, the book circles back to this beautiful idea of making a home within yourself.
That our main purpose, maybe, is to heal and cultivate that inner safety and belonging.
Rather than constantly seeking it from outside sources.
Exactly. It emphasizes self-reliance, inner peace. That real security comes from nurturing a strong, loving relationship with yourself.
And she reminds us, be kind to yourself. Recognize that potential isn't just about quantity, it's quality. And that discomfort, it's not an enemy, it's often a signpost for growth.
Important reminders. Prioritize self-care, view challenges as opportunities, shift from endless striving to inner well-being.
Finally, she tackles understanding what enough really means. But it's an internal decision.
Not waiting for the world to tell you you're enough. You decide.
And she offers those 9 questions that will help you make the most of every day. Practical prompts like, what would my best self do today?
They encourage being intentional, reflecting daily, making choices aligned with your values.
She also defines self-kindness as actively reparenting ourselves, choosing what's right over what's just easy.
That takes work.
It does. And this was a great tip. If you don't know what you want, start with what you're most afraid of.
Because
the opposite of that fear often points directly to your true desire.
Ah, that's clever. Our fears reveal what we value.
And purpose, she says, can be subtle. Sometimes it's just being present, building yourself into someone you're proud of.
Yeah, not always some grand external mission.
Letting go of hurt is gradual. piece-by-piece rebuilding. She touches on 3 types of loss: heartbreak, disappointment, detachment.
With detachment being the one that ultimately teaches self-love and resilience.
Right. And briefly, she mentions writing a personal mission statement for direction and lists 7 thought patterns keeping you stuck, reminding us relationships evolve to teach us self-awareness.
So yeah, basically, when you're ready, this is how you heal. It's just a really thoughtful, compassionate roadmap for growth.
Definitely.
It's all about self-awareness, processing emotions, boundaries, self-compassion, trusting your inner wisdom. It reminds you healing is a continuous journey, with real potential for transformation.
Absolutely. It really encourages looking inward, being gentle with yourself, and recognizing your own power in the whole process. We really only scratched the surface here.
For sure.
But we hope this deep dive gave you a valuable overview of what Brianna Wiest offers in the book.
And if you found this helpful and you're keen on more deep dives into insightful books like this one, please do follow Bookish Dives.
Yeah, we're always looking for books that help us understand ourselves and maybe the world around us a little bit better.
Thanks for tuning in.